126 million Americans, manipulated by a troll factory they never knew existed. March 19, 2016. A man named John Podesta, chairman of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, received a routine-looking email from Google. Your password has been compromised. Click here to reset it. His IT aide looked at the email and typed a fateful reply. This is a legitimate email. He later said he meant to type illegitimate. One missing word. Podesta clicked the link, entered his password, and within hours, Russian military intelligence had 50,000 of his private emails. But that phishing attack was just one piece of something much larger. At the same moment, 90 employees in a building in St. Petersburg, Russia, were working 12-hour shifts, pretending to be Americans on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Their monthly budget, $1.25 million. Their mission, tear the United States apart from the inside. By the time it was over, they had reached 126 million Americans on Facebook alone. And the U.S. intelligence community would conclude, with high confidence, that Russian President Vladimir Putin personally ordered the entire operation. To understand how Russia pulled this off, you need to know who was behind it. Two separate arms of Russian intelligence ran two completely different operations, and for months, neither one knew about the other. The first arm was the GRU, Russia's military intelligence agency. Within the GRU, two units carried out the hacking operation. APT-28, also known as Fancy Bear, was the aggressive team. They specialize in spear phishing, stealing credentials, and exfiltrating data from high-value targets. APT-29, also known as Cozy Bear, was the quiet team. They had actually been inside the DNC network since the summer of 2015, a full year before anyone noticed. Think of it like two separate burglary crews targeting the same building without knowing the other exists. Cozy Bear picked the lock and camped inside for months, silently copying files. Fancy Bear kicked in a different door in March 2016 and started grabbing everything they could. The second arm was the Internet Research Agency, or the IRA. This was not an intelligence unit. It was a troll factory funded by a Russian oligarch named Yevgeny Prigozhin, who would later become infamous as the founder of the Wagner Group mercenary army. The IRA's job was not hacking. It was manipulation, psychological warfare through social media, designed to look like ordinary American political speech. Russia's strategic goal, according to the U.S. intelligence community's January 2017 assessment, was threefold: undermine public faith in the American democratic process, damage Hillary Clinton's campaign, and help Donald Trump's candidacy. Putin had a personal grudge against Clinton, who as Secretary of State had publicly questioned the legitimacy of Russian parliamentary elections in 2011. The hacking operation was surgical. GRU officers in Unit 26165 crafted spear phishing emails that looked exactly like real Google security alerts. On March 19, 2016, they sent one to John Podesta. The link inside used a bit.ly URL shortener to disguise the destination. Podesta's aide, Charles Delavan, looked at the email and made the most consequential typo in modern political history. He wrote, "This is a legitimate email." He meant illegitimate. Podesta clicked. His Google credentials were captured instantly. Within hours, the GRU had downloaded over 50,000 emails from his Gmail account. But Podesta was not the only target. The GRU sent phishing emails to more than 300 people affiliated with the Clinton campaign, the DNC, and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. They successfully breached the DNC's main network and the DCCC's internal systems, stealing opposition research, internal strategy documents, and donor information. Think of the phishing emails like a master key disguised as a regular house key. Each one was crafted to look exactly like something the target expected to receive. And out of 300 people, you only need one to turn the key. Meanwhile, the IRA's social media operation was running at industrial scale. 90 employees worked shifts around the clock in a building at 55 Savishkina Street in St. Petersburg. 2 IRA employees had even traveled to the United States in June 2014, visiting 9 states on intelligence-gathering trips, photographing landmarks, and studying American political culture. They created 3,814 fake Twitter accounts and 470 fake Facebook pages, each one pretending to be a real American citizen or organization. Pages like Heart of Texas, which promoted Texas secession, had 253,000 followers. United Muslims of America had 328,000 followers. Blacktivist, mimicking the Black Lives Matter movement, had 360,000 followers. The genius of the operation was that they played both sides simultaneously. In May 2016, the IRA organized a pro-Islam rally in Houston through one fake page, and a counter-protest at the same location and time through a completely different fake page. Real Americans showed up to both, shouting at each other, manipulated by the same foreign intelligence operation. The stolen emails became weapons when they hit the public. On July 22, 2016, just 3 days before the Democratic National Convention, WikiLeaks published 19,252 DNC emails. The timing was devastating. The emails showed DNC officials privately favoring Clinton over Bernie Sanders, exactly the kind of content guaranteed to fracture the Democratic coalition. WikiLeaks would eventually release over 50,000 Podesta emails starting October 7, 2016, the same day the Access Hollywood tape of Donald Trump was published. But the GRU also used 2 other channels. They created the persona Guccifer 2.0, who claimed to be a lone Romanian hacker but was actually a front for GRU officers. And they set up DCLeaks.com as another distribution channel. The Mueller investigation later proved both were GRU operations. While the emails dominated headlines, the GRU's Unit 74455 was quietly probing something even more alarming: America's election infrastructure itself. The Senate Intelligence Committee later confirmed that Russian operatives targeted election systems in all 50 states. In Illinois, they breached the State Board of Elections voter registration database between June and July 2016, accessing records of up to 200,000 voters, including names, addresses, partial social security numbers, and driver's license numbers. In Florida, at least 2 county voter registration databases were penetrated. The intelligence community assessed with high confidence that no actual votes were changed. But the fact that a foreign military had been inside the systems that run American elections sent shockwaves through the national security establishment. It was like discovering that someone had walked through every room of your house while you slept. They did not steal anything, but they proved they could. The U.S. government's response came in stages. In June 2016, the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike was called in to investigate the DNC breach. Their report, published that month, was the first public attribution of the hack to Russian intelligence. In October 2016, a month before the election, the Department of Homeland Security and the Director of National Intelligence issued a joint statement formally accusing Russia of the hacking. But the full weight of the American intelligence community came down on January 6, 2017, when the Declassified Intelligence Community Assessment stated definitively, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. The CIA and FBI expressed high confidence. The NSA expressed moderate confidence. On December 29, 2016, President Obama expelled 35 Russian diplomats from the United States, closed 2 Russian government compounds in Maryland and New York, and imposed sanctions on the GRU and the FSB. On May 17, 2017, former FBI Director Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel to investigate Russian interference. Over 22 months, the Mueller investigation indicted 34 individuals and 3 Russian companies. On February 16, 2018, a federal grand jury indicted 13 Russian nationals and 3 organizations, including the Internet Research Agency and Prigozhin personally. On July 13, 2018, 12 GRU officers were indicted by name for the hacking operation. The investigation produced 7 guilty pleas and 5 prison sentences. Mueller's final report, released in April 2019, concluded that Russia's interference was, quote, sweeping and systematic. The 2016 interference changed American cybersecurity permanently. In November 2018, Congress established the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, known as CISA, specifically tasked with protecting election infrastructure. In March 2018, Congress had already allocated $380 million to states for election security upgrades under the Help America Vote Act. States began replacing paperless electronic voting machines with systems that produce paper ballot records, creating an auditable paper trail for the first time in many jurisdictions. The bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee spent 3 years investigating and published 5 volumes of findings between 2019 and 2020, corroborating the intelligence community's conclusions. The committee was led by Republican Richard Burr and Democrat Mark Warner, making it one of the few genuinely bipartisan efforts of the era. But the threat did not end with 2016. U.S. intelligence agencies confirmed Russian interference operations continued during the 2018 midterms, the 2020 presidential election, and the 2024 election cycle. The playbook evolved, but the goal remained the same: exploit the openness of democratic societies to sow division, erode trust, and make Americans fight each other instead of their real adversaries. And the $1.25 million per month the IRA spent in 2016, that is less than what a single 30-second Super Bowl commercial costs. For the price of one TV ad, Russia ran an influence campaign that reached 126 million Americans and became the defining political scandal of a generation. If you found this valuable, subscribe to Cyber Decoded. Next up, we are revealing the dark web marketplace that made $1.2 billion before the FBI shut it down.